Komal, instead of putting my video, just put on the wallpaper. Yeah.
Just one small question. We have to keep our video and audio on all the time.
Your video, having your video on would be better because people would be able to see you.
Otherwise, we will share our screen. Okay.
Yeah. Whenever you are willing to share your screen, then that you're sharing slides, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be okay. Komal, is recording on? Should I just begin? Okay. I think okay. So good evening, everyone. This is Sandeep Hegde. I welcome you on behalf of Center for Advanced Studies in Policy Research. I welcome Dr. Rajiv Gupta and Dr. Sheetal Sekhri, and thank them for joining us online for this session. They'll be talking with us on the topic harnessing technology to visualize COVID-19 risks across India. It is one of the recent works that they have published, and we had requested them to have a deliberation with us and explain what exactly the research is, which they have kindly agreed. I'll quickly go on with the introduction, and we would move on with the session directly. We would have a Q&A session as we finish with the discussion. You can type your questions in the chat box. We would try and take as many questions as we can once we finish up with the deliberation. Professor Rajiv Gupta, he's been working with BITS Pilani. He's a senior professor. He has been teaching since 1986, which spans more than 30 years of experience. He completed his PhD in 1996, and he has written 65 research papers in referred journals, and he has been part of 110 conferences, reviewed more than 150 papers for many reputed journals. He has executed sponsored projects worth more than rupees 600 lakhs. He has been guiding 12 doctoral candidates and 30 dissertations and so many ME students. He has authored and co-authored 3 books, other lecture materials. He has won the funding grant of $1,96,000 at Global Development Marketplace, organized by the World Bank at Washington in 2006. It was one of the 30 projects that received the grant out of 2,500 projects. He has been actively involved in water management systems in rural areas from last 10 years. He's implemented the schemes at different villages, appreciated by all mainly villagers and Rajasthan government. He is having more than 15 years of experience in institutional development and decision making, worked as Dean, Assistant Unit Chief, Group Leader, Civil Engineering Technology, Warden and other committees as a member or as in charge. He's involved in construction work worth more than 250 crores and implemented rainwater harvesting and green architecture and campus development. I'll be moving further with a brief introduction of Dr. Sheetal Sekhri. She's joining us from University of Virginia, USA. She's associate professor in the Department of Economics there. She completed her PhD from Brown University. As a development economics, most of her research is in 2 thematic areas. She has been using theoretical insights and data to answer questions related to causes and consequences of water scarcity and pollution. Her work also attempts to address issues related to gender-based violence. Her secondary interests are higher education, skilled labor markets, and welfare program in developing countries. Her work often uses primary data sets that she generates based on surveys she conducts and and is informed by insights from various disciplines. She has also conducted extensive field work in India. So I again welcome both of them for joining us, and without any further ado, I quickly hand over the charge to both of them and request them to start with their deliberation. Dr. Gupta, Dr. Sikri, over to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sandeep, and thank you for inviting us to talk here today. So I'm going to share my screen here momentarily. Okay, as you mentioned, we are in the midst of, a pandemic of, just unprecedented proportions. And so there's a lot of discourse and there is a lot of discussion about, what are going to be the consequences of this pandemic, both in terms of public health as well as economic footprint. And there is a whole lot of brainstorming going on about how to address it. What are the various ways in which we can try and handle it better. So our work is sort of contributing to this narrative, and we are going to be employing technology to see how better to make informed policy decisions. And so to that end, what we're going to do today is I'm going to just, set the stage for this, talk a little bit about the backdrop and what sort of is the motivation behind this. And then Rajiv's going to take over and discuss the actual technical contributions. So as we all know, within the span of 4 months, COVID has become a global pandemic. And as of yesterday, the global infections had touched 4 million, and mortality rate is very high, close to 274,000 deaths so far worldwide. And this very precipitous increase in infections and mortality has taxed the healthcare systems worldwide. They are being constrained way beyond their handling capacity. So governments have reacted in various ways. There are lots and lots of policy instruments and levers that are being used. Some governments have resorted to encouraging and recommending social distancing. Test, trace, and isolate has worked in some countries. And shelter in place and some forms of lockdowns are also being used. Lockdowns could be complete, such as the one we saw in India in late March, or it can be partial or none at all. But these policies don't come without, drawbacks. They have benefits. They help us address the infection, the disease progression. So they, like any other shock that we see, and reactions to this in the policy domain, there are benefits and drawbacks. So in terms of course, the benefits with lockdowns and policies such as social distancing, we can curtail infections. We can address mortality, and we can also sort of, prevent our healthcare systems from getting excessively pressurized. There is actually now new research using data from China, which shows that it uses the lockdown of Wuhan and shows in a causal manner that there are benefits of lockdown, both in terms of containment of the disease and delay. And so they do simulations to see how many deaths were averted because of this, and those numbers are extremely high. So definitely there are benefits of this. But on the other hand, the flip side is that these things come with staggering economic costs. So there is a worldwide GDP contraction. There's a steep rise in unemployment. And in developing countries, there are other social and development problems as well, such as, we're hearing about starvation rise in India. So there are, both drawbacks and benefits of these policies. So coming to the case of India, as of yesterday, I think the cases had touched, positive confirmed cases had touched about 56,000, and there were about 1,886 deaths. In India, lockdown has been the policy of preference, but the risk of transmission is very high in India because of very high population density. Also, the healthcare system is not equipped to deal with a massive transmission. So things are very uncertain at this moment. What is the best policy to follow and what would be the ramifications of that? But in terms of adopting measures, India has adopted lockdowns, and so we've had complete lockdowns and partial lockdowns, and I'm sure you are all in India, and you are more sort of apprised of how these play out in day-to-day lives. And so to just give a sense of what has been the progression of these lockdowns, on 24th March, there was a 21-day complete lockdown. And then on 15th April, there was an additional announcement of a lockdown for 19 days. And on 4th May, there was further debate about what should be the course of action. And there was an extension, albeit it was conditional. So just to give you some perspective, this is generated, this graph is about unemployment rates in India, and it goes from 2016 to April of 2020. It was generated by Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy, CHEMI, and I picked it up from Statista. What we are looking at is, the trend in unemployment rate in India. So relative to, let's say, the July of 2017, in March 2020, the unemployment rate was at 8.7%, which was already a 43 months high. But you see that between March and April, we have this steep rise, and in numbers are indicating that in April itself, there were the unemployment soared to 23.5%. So 122 million people lost their jobs, and close to 91 million were small traders and labor, and about roughly 18 million were salaried workers, and 18 million were self-employed. So these costs are very, very pertinent and salient in the lives of working class Indian individuals. And then the IMF has projected projections for the GDP. So this is from a World Economic Outlook, and this was a blog post by Geeta Gopinath. This is a comparison of two major macroeconomic shocks. So in global financial crisis, the GDP of India had hovered around close to 7%, whereas some other economies of the world, there was GDP contraction. But with these lockdowns, the post-COVID lockdowns, the GDP projections are down to about 1.9%, and this is given the current numbers and the current situation. So as lockdowns restrictions are eased out, these numbers might get changed. So it's still a little bit uncertain. Of course, relative to other countries, the GDP projections or GDP growth rate projections for India are positive, but still there's a major contraction in the entire GDP of the country, or there's a projected decline. So this is what the projections for 20 and 21 look like. So we have a sizable decline in 2020. There is an expectation that there might be a recovery, but when we are dealing with a massive GDP contraction, of course, inequality is likely to go up, and poverty and hunger, starvation, and other social development indicators are going to worsen. So then, thinking about lockdowns, what are the policymakers trying to do? What is it that they have in mind when they come forth with lockdowns? So in most of the countries, the lockdowns have been about slowing infection rates till a vaccine is discovered. Some of these, policy initiatives have incorporated our intensive care units and hospitals capacities, and thought of, they don't want to overwhelm those. And so in some, countries, the thought process has been, oh, can we try and save every life? Of course, that's a very untenable goal. But majority of the times, in fact, there is almost no country that is actively weighing in economic costs. There are states here and there within the countries, but there's no sort of, clear sort of headway towards thinking about what would be the economic footprint and how to deal with that. So this is sort of the backdrop against which we have developed this dashboard, and then Rajiv and his team have done some more predictive modeling kind of forecasting work, and he's going to tell you the technical details of the emergent research. So over to Rajiv. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and he'll pick it up from here.
Thank you, Sheetal. So I will share the screen. So just give me a moment, and so I hope that it is clear to everybody. That screen is clear. Kindly confirm one of our.
Yeah, we can't see your screen.
No, we can't see your screen yet.
No?
No, not yet.
Okay. Now?
No.
No, we still don't see your screen.
It is not.
After share your screen, you select the file that you want to show it to us.
Yes, that is what I'm doing. So I say share screen. Then
After clicking on share screen, you have to confirm. There's a confirmation button. It is on the right side towards the bottom.
I say share.
Mm-hmm.
Then it asks me open system preferences. I say yes.
Yeah, we see.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Now you can see. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it disappeared again. But that's okay. Everybody is coping up with this new technology.
No problem. We'll see.
Yeah.
No?
No, not yet. It showed a while ago. Again, it disappeared. Yeah, it is showing right now.
Right now it is showing.
Yes.
Okay, so let me see from here how to go about it.
You would have to open your presentation. No, it disappeared. Is your presentation already opened on the screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is not in the displaying mode. I can
Mhm.
always put it on the displaying mode, but that is what.
Rajiv, how about I can share my screen and you can
Yes,
continue
yeah,
with.
that is what you do
Yeah.
it. No problem. I'll see that. So I hope it is now visible.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. So basically, thank you, Sheetal. So what is the solution? That is the first question comes, and how to go about it. So should we go for the lockdown or not? Whether it is required or not? That is a big question. So if we see the examples, so if you follow the China, as you can see that over here, the China is there. So after a big lockdown, they have achieved a flat plateau, and now they are not getting the cases. If you see the another case, for example, United States. So I will not say that they didn't follow the lockdown, but obviously the restrictions they have put was very different from the China. And that is the reason that initially they have experienced a lot of cases as far as confirmed cases are concerned and deceased cases are concerned. The reasons could be many. So now what we have to see is we have to see that where we stand as an Indian and can we take it to a flat plateau. So that is the whole question, and what we are trying is to meet our objectives. We'll go to next slide. So people are defining or trying the different concept, and many of us are working on the single criteria. But with the single criteria, if you take any particular criteria, for example, if you take the infections rates or if you take the death rates, is it sufficient? That is the question. Will it help in taking the decision? So that is what they have created the different zones, and then from that they have tried to manipulate, I will say, or they try to take the decisions. And on a single parameter, if you take the decisions, it may happen that you are not taking the unemployment into consideration, or the starvation may be increasing, industrial productivity. Okay, you can leave the economy one side, saying that okay, life is more important, but how long? That is the question. So how long you can not raise the or lift the lockdown? That is the big question, and how to decide it. So if we give any kind of solution, obviously after the event we can say that the solution was not good, but it doesn't mean that we have to keep our hands crossed over each other and keep waiting. We have to keep trying. So that is what we try to harness the technology advantage, and we try to see that what are the different steps which we can take. So that is what we have done over here. So one model doesn't fit in if you are taking a single criteria, and that is what when we started with a single criteria, it doesn't suffice. Next. So what we have done is that we have gone for the multi-criteria considerations. So in multi-criteria considerations, obviously different people will have the different opinions that we should take the different factors into account. Some of you will say that infection rate is more important. Some of you will say the ability to meet basic needs is more important, and so on and so forth. But obviously at some point we have to take the decisions. So here we have involved in the social challenges and the risk challenges. So if I ask you the same questions, it's very difficult to answer it because we don't know our enemy. We don't know anything about the COVID. So how to go about it? So that is what we have tried, that instead of going for the single criteria, we have gone for the multi criteria. If you give you a simple example, if you have to purchase a cloth, one way is that you can see only the cost, but some you can say that, okay, what is the color? What is the textures? What is the brand? That is what I mean by the multi criteria. So if you have the different criteria in your mind, in that case, how much weightages you give to a particular criteria, and then you reach to a particular decision, that is what I mean by the multi criteria. So that is what we do, that we take the expert's opinion, and I will be very happy if any one of you share about your opinion. I can share the factors which you can see on the screen, and you can say that, okay, these are the different weightages, and then we can normalize it. We have our own methods to do or to give the different weightage to the factors, as you can see over here. So the method which we have applied is the TOPSIS method, which is the technique for order of response by similarity to ideal solution. Okay, so this is not the only method, but this is one of the methods, and which gives us the good results. And to take care of the different opinions, we have created a different or a separate dashboard. So in dashboard, what you can do is that you can see that whether it is matching with your expectations or not, and you can share your opinion with us, so we can see that whether it is really matching with our experts or not. Another thing is that what we have done is, instead of going for the state level, we have decided that we should go for the district level. One of the important factor we have realized is that local decision is very, very important. So the district magistrate, if he takes a decision, he owes it. And that is the reason that we have gone up to the district level, which I don't find in many studies. So what are the different factors we have taken? We can always have the pros and cons, and you can always say that, okay, this is not a very relevant factors, or this is a very relevant factors. What are the weightages you have given? Having said so, I have given you the to say your opinion, to voice your opinion. So what we have done is that we have taken mainly the infections rates, you can say, mortality, population, because the population increases, then obviously the distractions or the interactions increases, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the parameters which we have taken. Number of recovered, and one of the very thing I will tell you, you will be surprising. The government, when it says the disease rates, it compares with the existing confirmed rate. But if you critically see it, today's diseased and recovered rate is nothing but, this number depends upon the confirmed case which happened around 14 days before, isn't it? It's very simple calculation, because if you are taking around 14-15 days or 16 days for the recovering or the deceased decisions, then obviously it is nothing but the recovered plus the diseased. So basically the government is saying that our disease rate is 24% or recovered rate is 24%. I'm sorry to say, but it is totally wrong. It is almost around 80 to 90%. So this gives you a kind of confidence if you have the right data with you. Next. So this is what our dashboard does. That is, we get the numerous data. Again, here a little bit problem in the sense we get all kind of data with hard work, but we don't get the number of tests, which has crossed almost 12 lakhs district wise. We get only the state wise, and dividing into district wise is a big issue. If we can get the data district wise, I think that will be more close to the results. So this is what we call it criticality index. When we take all the factors, give the weightages, and then normalize it. You can normalize it between 0 to 1. You can normalize it between 0 to 100. It's up to you. So we have normalized between 0 to 1. And initially we have converted into 5 critical zones. And later on we have converted into 3 critical zones. So that also you can decide. And once you do that, then how do you take decision whether it is a correct decision or not? So we go for the machine learning, and there we go for the, you can say, a kind of cluster recognitions. So I'm not going into the much detail. So, but basically what we are trying to say is that if there are more number of persons, that can be considered as one cluster. If there is another cluster with a particular number of persons, so that is how we can define the clusters. So we have taken the 3 clusters to start with, and another advantage you can say is that if you, I will give you the site's address, and you can go anytime and you will find that it is quite interactive. I will show you in the slides also. And we are trying to update in a real time. So we have already automated some of the functions. Automatically we get the numbers, and automatically it gets updated. So we don't have to do the updation every day. And then we create the different zones. And after that, we can say that, okay, these are the different lockdown policies which we can follow. So one of the emphasis which I want to put it over here is, it is not I am predicting for next 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, which may go wrong, obviously. But I'm saying that daily you can update it, and you can see that how you are going, whether your decisions are correct or not. And you can always change your decisions at local levels, at the district levels. Next. So this is one view. This kind of view you can see at our dashboard. And as you can see, the first map, it is the confirmed. Obviously, the white means the confirmed cases is almost 0. You can put your own criteria, and you can divide it into number of zones. The second one is the diseased. Third one is the population. And the fourth one is the recovered. Population density, as I said, that it plays a very important role as far as India is concerned, because our population density is very high in many places and some places. And that is one of the major reasons that why we are getting this kind of cases, or the confirmed cases, from the metropolitan cities. Like if you see the Mumbai Dharawai, or Calcutta or Delhi slums, or Chennai. So there are major cities. As I said, that testing, we are not getting the data from district wise, so we have taken the state wise. And with our own wisdom, we have converted into district wise. So this, all these things you can always say in our dashboard, and that is what ultimately you come out with criticality index. And right hand side, as you can see, that the number of parameters which we have considered into account, and we have converted into 3 zones. And as you can see that there are different zones. Again, to emphasize that, you can agree with me, or you cannot. You say that, okay, it is not matching with the government because the parameters are different. If you are working on a single parameters, obviously the cases will be different. And if you are working on the different parameters with the different weightages, it will be different. So what we have done is that we have taken the same example with the 5 groups. Next, madam. So this is what it looks like if you take the 5 criticality index. One is very, very low, second is low, third is medium, fourth is high, fourth is very high. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, you can convert it into different zones. So what is most important if you see this particular kind of map? So one is that I can give you it in tabular forms, and the second is I give you in this map form. But the basic difference, if you see, if you find that any district which is adjacent to you, you should take a decision whether it is critical, low critical, high critical, or medium critical. And if it is low critical, you can open your boundaries to the next district. This kind of decision cannot be taken at the central level. But yes, if you have this map, the local administration can take decision whether they can open the boundaries with the next district or not. So this is one of the main advantage where the local administration should take the decisions. Obviously, the central will play a role that I will come to. So what next? So this is one case of one studies which we have done. And this was, let me tell you, much before 14th of April, the government has decided this critical zones afterwards only. But we have come out with this particular scheme before that. So then we thought that, okay, what should be the next step? So next step is, I will try to show you the dashboard online. Otherwise, the addresses I will give you. Madam, next. So these are some of the advantages that policymakers can use choice of attributes and experts' weights. So at the local level, they can do this kind of decisions. Similarly, it can be verified at the central level, and we can get a dynamic real time. As I said that in some cases, we are automatically updating it. In some cases, yes, if we have to change the weightages, then we have to do that. We have to revise the whole scheme. Portable to many decentralized settings, so you can do that. And this is one is the dashboard where you can go through it. If anybody, one of you are interested, please let me know. I will send you this particular link. So basically, it gives you the different kind of factors, and then it will give you the different kind of criticality index. Next, ma'am. So we have not stopped here. So our next problem is, today is 9th May, and I have seen that many of the forecasting have gone wrong. It doesn't mean that we should stop forecasting. Our forecasting should be mainly for the preparedness and the mitigations. And that is our basic idea. So what we have done is that we have another dashboard where the address is given below. And there we have applied the recursive learning method. So it takes the 11 days back data. And you must have seen that when government started transporting the laborers to different states, if you see the data, you will find those states have started more number of confirmed cases, and that will happen. And that is where we have to be careful. I'm not saying that we should not open the lockdown, but how to open the lockdown, that is very, very important. So that is what we are doing, is that we are predicting the criticality index for next 30 days. So you can go to this particular dashboard and you can see that how the criticality index is changing every day. When I say every day, because the data is changing, and on basis of that, we are predicting the criticality index. And this is what is the site. The last thing which I want to talk about is the lifting of the lockdown policy. It is, please remember, it is perspectives. In nowhere I am saying that it is confirmed, but yes, it will help us in taking the decision for the preparedness and the mitigations. Next, ma'am. So this is a very simple graph. Look at it. It is made on basis of three inputs. The first input, we know that any disasters, whether it is earthquake or whether it is contagious diseases, we don't have only one peak. One peak may be the highest magnitude wise, but there will be subsequent peaks. So when you open the lockdown, there will be subsequent peaks and we have to take care of that. The second input for this particular kind of perspectives I'm saying, please remember that I'm not saying it is the exact prediction. For next 30 days, we have used it and it may change a little bit, but it will give you always a kind of plan. And the third one is that the local administration is the final one who can take such kind of decision, obviously with the central decisions. So if you see the first three lines or the first three bars, it indicates the green zone, orange zone, and the red zone. And what we are recommending is that, let's say suppose the green zone you open on the 3rd May, the brown zone orange one you open it after a week, and the red after a week. So 3rd, 10th, and 17th you should open these three different zones for 15 days. So if you see the green only, what we are suggesting is once you open it for the 15 days, close it for 7 days. Close it for the 7 days and then again open it for a month, close it for 7 days and then open it forever. So the question comes, when you open it first time, you open it for the local one. Second, when you open it for the neighbor districts or in a state, and that is where this particular map will help you that with which districts you should open up. And the third open up should be with respect to the countrywide. If we don't close it between, we will not be able to locate, we will not be able to identify, we will not be able to isolate the different cases. So it is a kind of mandatory that you will close it for a week or so and see your kind of resources, manage it, and then again open it. So in no way I'm saying it is the final forecasting. As I said, it will be changing daily in some cases, and that is what we have to take care. The last slide, but one. So this is what open one, open one only all local markets, local transports, and local activities. This is important when I say local activities. Where we went wrong is that we have allowed the laborers, farmers, and other workers to move from one state to another state. In our opinion, if it could have been delayed by a week and they would have opened it at the local market, all these persons would have been absorbed at the local place and they don't need to go to the home, because this will create a lot of problems in case of economy, in case of restarting the plants and the construction activities and so on and so forth. Because they have to come back, whether it will take another time, long time, and whether they will be deployed, employed or not by the same persons or not. So these are the questions. Open 2 is you state, markets, commodities, if your state is safe. And the last one is the open 3. Madam, next one. There where I say that, okay, you go for the trains, airways, etc. You see the interstate markets and the mass gatherings can be allowed. So you can always ask me a lot of questions on that. As I said, these are the 3 inputs based on that I am predicting this. Second most important thing is when I say prediction, it is a prediction only. Basically, it is for the mitigations and the preparedness. So it is a kind of timeline where we can work upon it and we can change the decisions maybe per week and so on. The last slide is this work would not have been possible. These 4 persons have been working since the last 1 month. I can share the slides where they have given me the data at 4 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the evening. And I feel that they will be working on the similar way. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share our views. Sheetal is our advisor in case of the economy, and she gives a lot of suggestions and a lot of other things. So without teamwork, it was not possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Dr. Rajiv. Thank you, Dr. Sheetal. That was a wonderful deliberation. We are having an example of 2 different disciplines coming in together to solve a problem. So that I think we have been watching various estimations, predictions, various sorts of economic models. But I would definitely say this is one of the unique that I have personally come across. And the nice thing about it that you have taken up the administrative aspect into consideration